Alright, maybe it's a bit too late, but doesn't matter. Happy New Year, everyone. Everyone has their New Year resolutions, like get shredded, or quit smoking, or getting healthier. But yeah, well, are those the normal things? You know what I mean. And most people are not finished them. Let's just be clear. But I promise, my resolution, I will definitely try to keep. And maybe you're going to ask, why? What is it? What is it? I want to publish my game on Steam. And I also want to make sure that I will make several videos about this game that I want to publish. But now you need an idea, right? Otherwise there is no game. Yeah, well, you can make something, but just nothing. Nobody's going to download it, right? I really like the game Tyran from 1995. It's a game from my childhood. I played that game a lot of times. And what makes this game so special is that it's basically a shoot up. You have a spaceship, and then you shoot other spaceships or asteroids or something else. But what makes this game so special, and it's actually funny enough that, for example, I watching a lot of games from Graysdale Plays or The Real Civic Engineer, and what do I see as quite a common pattern is that when you go into a playthrough, then you are able to do upgrades, or you have a tech tree and then you can advance, and that way you make yourself better. And I don't think that's just something that is just currently a popular thing or something. I see it happening a lot more. And the thing with Tyran is that even for that old game, it was way ahead of its time in that specific regard. Because when you are finishing the level, then you are able to upgrade your ship, and you can then just. And what I really like about this game is that you have those that you need to make sure that your generator is keeping up and more. But I don't want to go too much in detail, because what I want to do in this video is I want to do a playthrough, and then I will talk to all the specific objects, the specific topics that I really like about this game. And then you're now going to ask, yeah, but are you now just not making a copycat of this game? No. Because the game Tyran also has a story, but I also want to make my own story around it. And also I have I made some concept art about that specific one. And I will also talk after the playthrough a little bit about the story itself, and how I really want to fit that specific idea in. But basically, before I going to rumble too much and bore you, then I'm just going to play through the game, and then I will show the things that I like and the things that I dislike, and the things that I want to extend more on, or the things that I maybe want to change in that regard. So because the game will be, for a large amount, it will really be a love letter for Tyran, but I also want to make sure that I have my own nice twist around it. So no further ado, let's play the game. Funny enough, you can see that it's still not mentioning anything regarding to Epic Games and such. And also the date is 1999. Well, that's because this is the freeware version. And also they released later, of course. Which is actually funny and nice. And also there's still quite an active community around it. And even you have now things like Open Tyran, which they basically rewrote it, but then with the original assets, which is actually kind of nice. So, but for this playthrough, just going to do a normal playthrough. But now comes the question: what makes Tyran so special? Well, there are a few things, because around the same time you have games like R-Type, and you have the game like Raptor, and not the YouTube channel Raptor, by the way. But what you do have here is, and this is something that is in this game way ahead of its time, you can completely customize your ship, and that basically that gives so much possibilities and how you want to go through with it. But the thing is that if you are upgrading your, for example, your front gun, but something you need to watch out for is that you also have your generator. You can see here it's going up, and then if you always just doing the best one, this is actually something that I maybe want to do in my own game a little bit different, that you maybe can have a little bit more control of it, or extend a little bit more on it, like the heat that is generated from it, or maybe add some additional modules on it. That will actually be kind of nice. All right. And also for this game, you always have you have great mouse support for this game, and I also this is something that I definitely going to keep for my game, is that I probably will go for the mouse support. But now comes the other reason, but the other part what makes this game so amazing. Well, funny enough, this game has a story, and basically you are I'm such an idiot. Sometimes I forgot his name, but I think it's Trent. Yes. So funny enough, here you get a message from Mom. Dear Trent, glad you were doing so well on Tyran. And then they are saying that Papa is getting a job at Microsoft, and here comes the twist. Microsoft is basically the big evil company that's is really hungry for power, and it will do everything to get more and more and more. And basically, in the end, further in the game, you will basically be against Tyran, not Tyran, on Microsoft. So, also something that is also really nice in this game is that you really end up in some kind of, you're basically generating your own big bullet hell.
Data acquired.
And they are making sure that everything is just nicely done, and then you're also collecting some additional data modules for more background lore, which is also definitely a keeper to keep. But this is basically in general also the game that I want to create, also in 2D, also the shooter, and then just going up, and also a mix that you can shoot enemies from the front and from the background, and and also when they are flying. Maybe it will also be nice that you have some additional nice elements, like that you maybe need to defend some things, or that you need to keep track of your time. Because you're really try to save it. Also, and another really interesting thing is that, and that makes the game also really interesting, is that I know you can see those green globes, right? That's the that I'm firing. Basically, it has two modes. You can shoot mostly the forwards, or you can shoot more from the side. I found out that while doing the game, you also sometimes get enemies from the behind, or you need to shoot more from the back. But a lot of the time, you need to be you are fighting forward, so it will be better. Then you can shoot more forwards. So it will also be nice that you have multiple options while playing, that you can specify in which direction you are shooting, and not simply by pointing your controller towards it, but more in a point of that different shooting modes, which can also maybe something like additional modules in on your gun. Will also be a nice one to have. Also, what this game is also currently a bit lacking is that you are not really have like elements. So I think, in my opinion, it will also be nice that you have more things like electronic weapons and or more things like bullets and more. And also what you can see here, like an end boss. But this is basically the whole the game loop. And here is also something that I really like to mention. Also, you have some ads. It is really in a cyberpunky world. Funny enough, right? Well, in here you have in the data they are mentioning which direction you want to go. Because if you go back and you go to start level, then yeah, now I first go to a bonus level, but normally you can choose if you want to go to asteroid 1 or asteroid 2, and then the following path by following it will also be will also be a bit different. At the end, you always end up at the same location, of course, but I thought that is actually a really nice idea, that you not always have the complete freedom to go wherever you want. It's the complete opposite of those AAA games, that you always can go wherever you want or go wherever. But you are still, I think that specific limitation really gives a nice way to tell the actual to tell the story, in my opinion. If you don't agree, then please let me know. But I really like that specific part as well. And also, what I was personally thinking is that to make it more that you really feel that you are with a spaceship, then you have other free roam space games like Elite Dangerous or other games. But what I want to mention is that it's nice that you always end up in this menu, but maybe it's better, maybe it's nicer that you are basically landing in a some kind of space station or your main ship or something, and then you can walk around your ship, and then you have specific shops and people which you can talk to, and then to gather more information. And then after each level, there will be different people there that you then can gather information again. Of course, you are not enforced to do any of those, but it will really aid in that specific part. So let me know what you think of it.
Good luck. Data acquired.
And it's also nice that you have those
Data acquired.
bonus levels. But then maybe instead of just saying, oh, you have a bonus level, then you can just say, oh, you can go to this specific location. New star point detected or something, right? That gives it also a little bit of a nice twist. And also you can see here now what's happening, because my ship is now getting quite low in generating health, and I'm now also dead. That's because I'm using too much energy on my ship, and so a way to solve this is that by downgrading your stuff. And that way you cannot simply just upgrade everything and then ignore the other parts. But now, let me talk while I'm trying to finish this level, the things that I...
Good luck.
Because I did play this game, I did play all the episodes in my own time. And I also found out some things that I personally didn't really like, and that I really like to improve on in this game. One of the issues is that actually it does sound nice, but you always get your gear and your points when you go to the next episode. But I also found out that it really is giving some balancing issues. And some really big balancing issues, because at the end, I was I think at the last episode, or I think at one of the last episodes, one of the problems was that I was flying with my same ship all over the time, and there was no reason to change it. And yeah, I don't think that's really a very good thing to have. Definitely not, because what is the bigger problem with this is that makes the whole upgrading meaningless, in my opinion. So it will definitely, I think, some balancing, and maybe extend more on the upgradability, or that you need to upgrade to specific gear for a specific level. And the only way that you can know that is by getting those data resources beforehand. So you need to read or listen to the analytic data for the upcoming level. Then at least you have you need to have some strategy to able to solve the level. If you are not doing that, then my plan is to basically just punish the player for it. That it's not really reading to the whole data. It's going to be a bit crowded. Yeah. I'm surviving this. Sorry, Jesus. Whew. Also, a small thing to mention before, because you can see that I am now almost out of health. That's because of my ship is almost broken. And then emergency ship is coming and then it gives you a second try. And I personally also like that part, but maybe more like an upgrade or something. Now you're just getting that by default. Well, and I think it's better to just let the player decide, or if they really like to have that or not. But to go back on the things that I also didn't really like is that you also have some really strange levels that is really breaking a bit of the. Yeah, I know games should not be 100% realistic, but just flying fruit in a space game, personally for me it doesn't cut it. I mean, it's more like a cyberpunky game, and I think there should be some kind of boundaries of the realism inside this game. It should be spaceships, or maybe some special mutated monsters or something, organic monsters like in StarCraft, but not flying fruit. It's no. So that's basically the whole part of it. So this is the thing that exactly I wanted to mention. You have things like going left or going right. And then you can decide on which direction you want it to go. Alright, this is basically, I'm not going to play to the whole game because it's that will not be that interesting. Alright, the story. Actually, it's kind of funny, and that's also the reason why I am now dressed up like this. Because in my previous, on my old YouTube videos, I was playing always as Denise, and well, I transformed my character to basically as my original character for inside my Meat Corps universe, and basically it will a story about her. And so I'm basically now just cosplaying. But the thing is that in the Meat Corps universe, basically you have an alternative timeline from the 1980s. But it's basically an alternative universe where the computers are still analog, and it's been and the most reason is that an other company, we now have the Microslop, which now everyone's calling. I know it's Microsoft, but and you have AWS and from Amazon, and you have Google. But in this world, it's Cybercore, and Cybercore is taking care of anything from the regarding with technology, but they are not really eager for a really specific upgrade. So funny enough, in this universe, even it's the future, and you have flying ships, you have spaceships, you have holograms, you have whatever, but you are still having old CRT screens, still old computers, still using floppy drives and more. So it's back in reality. It's basically a future which is really thought about from the 80s standpoint. Kind of the same thing with Back to the Future, you know, right? But back to the game story. Once in a time, because there is also another company which is called which is starting up later, which is called Neurocorps. And that specific company is trying to upload everyone's mind in their system. And the only way that they can do that is by having getting people paralyzed, and then getting the mind out of it. And of course, Denise is not really happy about this because she found out the truth about. So what she is doing, she is going to to cyberspace. Yeah, I know it. Every cyberpunk game is calling it cyberspace, but at least it makes it easy, right? So she's going into cyberspace, but she also has a partner. And that partner is called Barry. And Barry is, instead of Denise, which is really a lunatic and is really fighting for everything and is really an alpha person. But Barry is more, yeah, like an idiot. But really trustworthy. It's trustworthy person for Denise. But at the same time, Barry makes a lot of mistakes. So one time, Denise is going into the cyberspace and is trying to get into the Neurocorp's systems, but Neurocorps was finding that out, and she was basically getting her and basically trapped her because they found out that what Denise really is, but they really need to have more resources and such. So they thought, well, it will be maybe smart to give her a spaceship and then some kind of a cyber body to fly for them. But now comes the twist. Denise is just playing along, but what they don't know is that Denise's mind is so strong. They don't know that Denise is still in control. So in the first missions, then it's really important that you are sure that Denise is still that Neurocorp still thinks that they are controlling you, but then at a certain time, because you also really want to be free from from the cyberspace, because you are basically trapped in there. And you have also limited time because you don't get any food and such. So there is you will end up in some issues. But here it comes is that at a certain time you are trying to attack specific points to make sure that you are free and that you are at the same time helping other out and make sure that Neurocorps is stopping this specific operation. It's not possible to stop Neurocorps completely, but at least you can stop a specific department of them. And at the same time, you are saving yourself, and then you are getting out and get your body back. So that's in a nutshell the story about it. And the way that I really like to represent this is that in Tyran, you get some nice backdrops with, and then you get some sliding text showing what's happening. I was thinking of the same way because personally, I don't really have the resources to make nice full animations or complete voiceovers. And also, you can hear I have a bit of a Dutch accent. So, and I don't really, because I am also doing this beside my fully day job. So I do have some money resources to spend on making the current game reality, but I'm not really like to pay a lot of money to get voice actors and such a thing. So in that regard, I really like to keep it more grounded. That's basically the whole game idea that I have, and like I already mentioned, I'm going to publish more updates, probably as my colleague Dennis. But let me know what you think of it, and then I will see you the next time. Bye. Oh, wait. If you really like to know more about this and you really want to help me out, then click that subscribe button. Also, at the same time, I am not only active on YouTube. I will put also some links to my other social media channels, like my Reddit channel and also my DeviantArt channel, where I also put my art, also my art related stuff to it. By the way, regarding for art, I also going to publish a video, something more specific about art, and then I will go more in depth about it. And another thing is that I also really like to mention, if my channel reach 100 subscribers, then I'm going to sidetrack a little bit, and then I'm going to make Pong live from scratch on the stream. All right. Well, that's everything. And otherwise, yeah, well, then wait for the next video, right? Well, then I will see you the next time. Bye.